John's refusal to tell Grace about his past made her more scared of him. While John was out hunting, Grace would talk to herself. Should I run away? What if someone I call my husband is a ghost? What if I am married to a ghost? Oh my God, I can't believe what I got myself into. I should have thought of all this before getting pregnant for him. When John came back from hunting, Grace was shocked when he told her that he knew everything she was thinking about while he was away. "You are beginning to scare me more," she said to John. "Please, talk to me. Where exactly are you from? Who are your parents?" John looked at her with an intense gaze and replied, "I am a ghost." Grace was frozen with fear and disbelief. As she was about to run, John quickly said, "Sorry, my love, I was only joking. Of course, I am human. Don't worry, I will take you to my father soon." Grace let out a sigh of relief, but the fear lingered. John's strange behavior and mysterious past continued to haunt her thoughts. Every creak in the forest, every shadow made her jumpy. She couldn't shake off the feeling that something wasn't right. Despite his reassurances, Grace couldn't shake off the dread. She found herself waking up in the middle of the night, staring at John as he slept, wondering if he would disappear like a mist come morning. Her dreams were filled with eerie whispers and shadowy figures, and she began to doubt everything around her. One night, while John was out hunting, Grace decided to search the hut for any clues about John's past. She found an old, dusty box hidden under the floorboards. Inside, there were strange, ancient-looking artifacts and a faded photograph of a family. The faces were blurred, and she couldn't make out any details. Among the items was a worn-out journal. She opened it, and the first few pages were filled with entries in a language she didn't understand. The next day, she confronted John again. "I found the box, John. The artifacts, the photograph, the journal. What are they? Who are you really?" John's face turned pale. "You shouldn't have found that, Grace. There are things you don't understand, things that are better left in the past." Grace, her voice trembling, demanded, "No more secrets, John. I need to know the truth." John said, "Don't worry, I will take you to my family house tomorrow." The night was restless for Grace. She tossed and turned, her mind racing with questions and fears. What if John was hiding something even more terrifying? What if his family was as strange as he was? She couldn't shake off the feeling that she was walking into something unknown and potentially dangerous. The next morning, John packed a small bag and took Grace's hand. "Let's go," he said softly. They walked through the dense forest, the path winding and narrow. After what felt like hours, they finally arrived at a busy road, where they took a public transport. After a few hours, they finally got to the city. John turned to Grace with a look of frustration and confusion. "I don't remember anything about my family," he said, shaking his head. "I can't even recall where they live." Grace was surprised and mad at him. "How dare you trick me, John? You told me you would take me to your family house." John looked genuinely distressed. "I'm sorry, Grace. I didn't mean to deceive you. I just can't remember." Seeing his distress, Grace softened a bit. "All right, let's go to my village then. Maybe being with my family will help." John nodded, grateful for her understanding. They set off for Grace's village, and when they arrived, Grace's mother saw her and was overjoyed. "Grace, we thought you were dead," she exclaimed, hugging her daughter tightly. After dinner, they all gathered around, eager to hear what had happened. Grace began to narrate everything that had happened to her. Her family listened in shock and disbelief. They couldn't fathom that Emma, their own blood, could do such a thing. "We must tell Chief Ahmed," her mother said firmly. "No, mother," Grace replied, her voice trembling. "You know I am already pregnant. Chief would be angry if he finds out." "Who cares?" her father retorted. "Your sister Emma needs to be in jail for what she did." Grace's mother nodded in agreement, but Grace looked worried. "Please, let's think this through. If we involve Chief Ahmed, it might cause more trouble." Her father shook his head. "Grace, you cannot protect Emma after what she did. She tried to kill you. She must face the consequences. "But what about my baby?" Grace asked, tears welling up in her eyes. "Chief will be so angry at me. If he finds out that after everything he did for us, and I got pregnant for another man." "We'll find a way to handle this," her mother said gently. "But first, we need to make sure you are safe and that justice is served." Her father called Chief Ahmed, and when Chief heard that Grace was alive, he was overjoyed. A few hours later, he arrived in the village. When he saw Grace with her pregnancy, Chief was surprised. "So Grace, Emma was right all this while? You actually ran away with your boyfriend? I thought you were kidnapped or dead." Grace shook her head, tears welling up. "No, Chief Ahmed, it's not what you think." She then narrated everything to Chief, explaining Emma's betrayal and her time in the forest. After listening, Chief Ahmed's face grew stern. "I must arrest Emma. She must go to jail for what she did." Chief then turned to Grace. "Who is responsible for your pregnancy?" Grace called John over. And Chief Ahmed was shocked when he saw him. "This is my son. He has been missing for years now." Grace was equally shocked. "Are you sure, Chief?" John looked confused, unable to remember anything. Chief Ahmed then began to explain. "A few years ago, John went missing under mysterious circumstances. We searched everywhere, but couldn't find him. I never gave up hope, but I feared the worst." John listened intently, trying to piece together fragments of his lost memory. "I remember feeling lost and wandering into the forest," he said slowly, "but everything after that is a blur." Chief Ahmed embraced John, tears of relief in his eyes. "You're back now, and that's what matters. We will get through this together." Grace watched the reunion, a mixture of emotions on her face. She was happy for John, but also overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events. She had never imagined that John was connected to Chief Ahmed. Chief Ahmed then turned to Grace. "We need to ensure your safety and well-being, especially with the baby on the way. As for Emma, she must face the consequences of her actions." Chief Ahmed took John and Grace to the city so they could live with him in his mansion. When they arrived, the first thing Chief did was chase Emma out of his house. Though he wanted to lock her up in jail, Grace begged him to pardon her. Chief Ahmed reluctantly agreed and decided to give Emma one last chance. "You are no longer welcome here, Emma. You need to find a different path," he said sternly. With Emma gone, Chief Ahmed called his families and friends to celebrate the arrival of his lost son. They gathered at the mansion, filled with joy and relief. During the celebration, Chief Ahmed addressed everyone. "This is my son, John." But his real name is actually Paul. He gave himself the name John because he couldn't remember his real name. Paul, formerly known as John, stood beside Grace, looking at the faces of his newfound family. Grace, holding Paul's hand, felt a sense of peace. She had gone through so much, but now she was with people who cared for her. Her baby would be born into a family filled with love and support. Things were going well until Chief Ahmed started making inappropriate advances towards Grace. One day he approached her and said, "Grace, I would like to rub my hands on your pregnant belly." Grace was shocked. "You can't do that, Chief. Have you forgotten that I am your son's wife?" Chief Ahmed's expression turned serious. "Grace, it seems you have forgotten that I paid your bride price, and I bet Paul, my son, doesn't know about all these things. If you don't let me, I will tell him how I got married to you and your poor hopeless sister Emma. I will also tell him what you both used to do with men in exchange for just ordinary bananas." Grace was horrified. She had not expected this from Chief Ahmed. She felt trapped and betrayed. When Paul, who was already working, came back from work, Grace told him they should leave his father's mansion and rent an apartment in the next town. Paul was surprised. "Why, if I may ask?" Grace struggled to find a plausible reason. "I'm just tired of the busy city life. I need a quiet place for me and our unborn child." Paul looked concerned, but shook his head. "I can't leave now, Grace. We have to stay here. Besides, my father is getting old. He needs us around him. We have been apart from each other for years, and now is the time for me to be closer to him. Please, try and understand." Grace felt desperate. She knew she couldn't tell Paul the real reason without causing a rift in the family, but she also couldn't stay and face Chief Ahmed's threats and advances. Chief Ahmed continued his inappropriate behavior, making Grace more and more uncomfortable. She tried to avoid him as much as possible, but his persistence was wearing her down. One evening, after another tense encounter with Chief Ahmed, Grace broke down in tears. When Paul came back from work, he found her crying and asked, "Grace, what's wrong? Please, tell me. I can't help you if you don't talk to me." Grace wiped her tears and looked at Paul, trying to muster the courage to speak. "Paul, I love you and our unborn child. But staying here is making me very unhappy. I can't explain everything, but trust me when I say we need to leave." Paul sighed deeply. "Grace, I don't understand what's happening, but I trust you. If you truly believe we need to leave, then we will. Just give me a little time to make the arrangements." Grace felt a sense of relief wash over her. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but at least Paul was willing to consider her feelings. Over the next few days, Grace and Paul began to quietly make plans to move out. They found a small, peaceful town, not too far from the city, and started looking for a place to rent. Meanwhile, Chief Ahmed noticed the changes and grew suspicious. One day, he confronted Grace again. "What are you and Paul planning? Do you think you can just leave without consequences?" As Grace and Chief Ahmed continued their argument, Paul walked in. He sensed the tension and asked, "What's going on?" Chief Ahmed turned to Paul and said, "She hasn't told you everything, has she? Grace and I were married before her sudden disappearance." Paul was shocked. "How could you lie to me, Grace? I thought you were a nice person. I can't believe this." Grace tried to apologize, tears streaming down her face. "Paul, please, let me explain. I was desperate and had no choice." But Paul didn't listen. "You must leave this house," Chief Ahmed said to Grace. "You ungrateful little girl." Grace, seeing how serious Paul and Chief Ahmed were, realized she had no other option. She went inside to pack her belongings, still trying to beg Paul. "Paul, please, don't do this. I love you." Paul's expression was cold. "I can't stay with you, Grace. My father and I can't share the same woman. You have to go." Heartbroken, Grace packed her things and left for the village. She felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, knowing she had lost everything she had hoped to build with Paul. As she walked away from the mansion, she couldn't help but think about the baby growing inside her and what the future would hold for them. When Grace got to the village, she was shocked by how warmly Emma welcomed her. Emma approached her with tears in her eyes. "Grace, I am so sorry for everything I did to you. Can you ever forgive me?" Grace, holding her pregnant belly, was initially hesitant, but saw the sincerity in Emma's eyes. "I forgive you, Emma," she said, embracing her sister. 2 weeks later, Grace gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The entire village celebrated the arrival of the new life. Meanwhile, Paul, who had been contemplating his decision, heard about the birth of his son. "No, I can't do this," Paul said to himself. "I can't leave my first child to be in the village. I have to bring back Grace. I won't listen to my father anymore." Determined, Paul traveled to the village and found Grace holding their newborn son. He knelt before her, tears in his eyes. "Grace, I'm so sorry for everything. Please come back with me. I want us to be a family." Grace looked at Paul, her heart softening. "I want that too, Paul. I want our son to have a loving family." Paul took Grace and their baby back to the city. When they arrived, Chief Ahmed saw the baby and was filled with shame and regret. "Grace, I'm deeply sorry for everything I did to you," he said, his voice trembling. "I was wrong." Then turning to Paul, Chief Ahmed said, "There's something you need to know, Paul. I am not your biological father. I adopted you when you were a small child." Paul was shocked. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" he asked, feeling a mix of confusion and relief. "I'm sorry, son," Chief Ahmed replied. "I thought it was for the best." Chief Ahmed then returned the bride price he had paid for Grace officially ending their previous marriage. Paul and Grace were married in a beautiful ceremony, surrounded by friends and family. They moved into a new home where they could start fresh and build a loving family together. Dear viewers, if you enjoyed this story and want to see more interesting ones, don't forget to like, share and turn on your post notifications to get notified whenever we upload new videos. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.